All right, Mr. Brock, you have the floor for 5 minutes, please.
Yes.
Ms.
Getting
Daly, I
Brock
want to
right
do
away.
a deeper dive into the circumstances surrounding the CBSA interview. You referenced an audio tape that you're going to provide to the committee. I understand that there was a series of email exchanges as well that you've referenced. These email exchanges involve you and who else?
Well, I have them here. Can I pull them out? And then I'd be more
I want
accurate.
you to ultimately file all of those emails. Can you just identify the names of the people who are communicating with you?
Okay. Well, the people communicating with me were my Director General, Lisanne Bolduc, and
Who else?
Tom von Schoenberg.
Sorry?
Tom von Schoenberg, my Senior Director.
Yes?
So those were the people involved in communicating.
LaFleur.
Mr. LaFleur, you were correct, Mr. Brock. On December 7th, he sent me an invite for an optional as a witness to come.
Initial piece of communication?
Yes, December 7th.
Okay. In addition to the audio
Yeah.
phone call, in addition to the emails, were there other phone calls that took place to get you at that particular interview that you did not take?
Yeah, I was shocked when
many?
I was like, I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I was, sorry.
You referenced some important details in that audio tape conversation between you and the DG. Are there other damning, more significant pieces of that conversation you want to share with us right now?
Certainly. My apologies, I just have to grab it. This is a conversation that Lisanne had with me. She said, I'll seek clarity on the mandatory versus non-mandatory. But before she says that, she says, and I think that you should feel comfortable having Tom or I present at that upcoming meeting. I think that would be a good idea for you as well. So I'll get back to Michelle. She's referring to Michelle LaFleur. I'll seek clarity on the mandatory versus non-mandatory, but like I said, I've received my own marching orders, and my feeling that he's probably received his own marching orders as well on his side as well.
So, by inference, she's misleading you as to whether there's a confusion between optional and non-optional.
That's correct. She said I wasn't told it was optional on the tape.
You clearly had no choice.
I had no choice.
You were compelled to attend.
She told me I had no option.
Okay, let's talk about the interview itself. How long was it?
13 minutes.
The interview?
Oh, the interview with CBSA, you mean, right?
Yes.
It was 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. Where did it take place?
Virtually.
Virtually. Did you get a break?
Yes, I did.
What was the tone like in that particular 3.5 hour interview?
It was hostile.
Give me examples.
Well, the Marie-France Leduc, who was the manager or the acting manager, started off being confused that I wasn't procurement. She would throw random emails at me and read from them and not let me see them, and then say, well, what do you mean you're not procurement?
Okay. They had a narrative that you would not agree with. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and I think they were literally confused that I wasn't procurement.
Sure. Was that meeting recorded? Was that meeting transcribed?
It was
Can you tell us?
transcribed.
Was it recorded?
It would have been, yeah.
Did you get a copy of that recording?
No, I did not.
Okay. Tell me about were there any issues with the transcription of that interview?
At the end, and my sister attended with me because I had advised them I had just received cancer treatment 6 days before or 5 days before. And that's in writing, by the way.
Okay.
So they said to me, they said January 15th was the date of the meeting. And Cassandra Michon, who was the senior investigator on that, had very poor English, or she was trying to transcribe something that I did not say at the end of the meeting.
Verify that?
Sure.
Okay. Can I move on?
Sure.
Do you have any information with respect to the allegations surrounding Mindone deleting 4 years' worth of relevant emails?
I know nothing about that.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Okay. You must have heard that in the press.
I heard it
Media?
at testimony.
Okay. You never dealt with Mindone in your capacity at CBSA?
No.
Okay. The interview took place when?
January
CBSA
the
interview?
15th.
January 15th?
That's
Of
correct.
2024?
Correct.
When were you suspended?
March the 12th.
Okay. How were you suspended?
I received
Verbally or a letter?
I received a letter.
Did Do you have a letter? Copy
do.
of the letter? Will you submit that to the committee?
I will.
Okay. And what was the crux of the allegations against you?
May I read it?
Yes.
I like to read stuff so that people know that I'm actually.
Yes. Go ahead.
My apologies. If we could just give me a moment to look for it.
Mr. Brock, I'll allow this, but this will conclude your
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
your questioning. I will just give Ms. Daly a few seconds to find that.
Sorry, I'm looking for it.
Notes.
I've got a lot of paperwork here, so you'll have to bear with me. I apologize.
To committee?
I will. It
Okay.
essentially says that I did not adhere to the CBSA and PSPC codes of conduct for procurement. And I had something to the effect of, I'm reading this from memory, not adhered to the values and ethics of the public service.
What a
Those were
joke.
the allegations.
That's
Thank you.
brutal.
I think
That's
that will
brutal.
suffice. If Mr. Brock wants to make a
She doesn't
point of
even
it, we can
handle
come
the
back to
procurement.
it. I believe Ms. Khalid, you're next for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Daly, for appearing here today. And I will just, at the outset, point out that we are not here as a tribunal to find charge or to find guilt in any way. We are trying to figure out what went wrong and how we can ensure that it doesn't go wrong again in the future. So, Ms. Daly, I'll start off by asking, who hired you?
My offer came from Tony Utano, but the CBSA...
What was his position?
He was an executive director.
Okay. And who will fire you, as you had indicated in your opening statement?
She's not
Who would fire me? Well, that would probably be my deputy minister or my my former director general. You see, in the policy on investigations, it's actually, as I said in my statement, the at-level manager or director who actually needs to start an investigation. So at Public Works, that would have been Lisanne Bolduc at the time.
Right. So you had also mentioned in your opening remarks that Minister Duclos, who was the minister responsible at the time, tried to do the right thing. Can you just elaborate on that? What exactly did you mean by that?
Referring to where Ms. Riza said in one of her committee meetings, I'm not sure if it was OGO or Public Accounts, you'd have to look it up, but I believe it was January, where she said she was asked a question specifically regarding when she had informed by, I think it was by Ms. Block who actually asked this, when did she inform the minister of, when the ArriveCans thing? And she said it was like November or October of 2023 when he started. So he started in the summer, and the same month or a month later, he came out and said in the Globe and Mail, I believe it was, that, we recognize there's a problem. We're trying to do something about it in the House of Commons. So that's where I'm getting this information from.
Thank you. And so help me understand, I mean, from the over 20 plus meetings and the increased politicization of this issue, I'm getting the vibe here that what's at issue here is how middle management is conducting themselves, and especially during the COVID time when things were very fluid and a lot of things needed to get done in a very short time. So,
No.
Do you
You're not
think
listening
that
to her.
we need to micromanage our public service?
No,
I
that's
think
not what
you
she's
need
saying.
to take a good look at the TBIPS method of supply, and in fact, look at it from a auditor standpoint. So I would suggest the Auditor General actually go into the professional services unit and look at how, because TBIPS was established in the Way Forward in 2005, from what I can read in a business journal that I have with me. It's an article from 2009 which says TBIPS needs to be reformed. We need to look at what we put in place before and reform it.
And how much of what has happened here, which is, if I'm going to put it into context, which is that there was too much money spent on an app to try to help people to be able to be mobile during COVID in a safe way. How and a lot of that led to overspending. Where do you think the accountability really lies with that spending of that money? And we realize that no ministers signed off on any of these contracts. Where is that accountability?
I go to the Financial Administration Act. Where does it come down from?
And do you think that ministers need to sign off on every single contract that the public service, who we rely on significantly to be able to do their work? Do ministers need to sign off on every single contract, i.e. micromanage how our public service does their work?
Oh, I think you need to take a look at what is obviously, and this goes back to the OGO meeting where PSPC, Madame Poulin, had indicated there could be a widespread problem in the government with different departments impacted by the poor way that methods of supply are set up.
Agreed.
It's the methods of supply.
Thanks for that. So it seems to me, like, based on your testimony today, that everyone, I mean, like, you know, in public service seems to be tripping over themselves to find out who is the person most responsible. The Conservatives are trying to tie this in some way to a minister or to some political operative here.
It is a minister that's...
In your point of view, do you think that the elected officials need to have more oversight on these contracts and procurement in general, so that we can prevent these kind of acts from happening in the future?
Well, I'll tell you what I understood from Public Works. They, I believe, either have put in place a chief procurement officer. Maybe that should be considered as an independent office, not in finance, but working with finance as a separate entity. And so there should be, part of this is your financial management system and people knowing what goes in and how it's done. We in the government love red tape. We don't do the how-to guides or this is the process of what this means. We don't do enough of that. And yet we ask through Treasury Board as the employer for reports about what we're doing. We make it so hard on ourselves to do the simplest things when we could have oversight bodies watching what people are asking for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have one more question, Chair, if you would oblige me.
Your time is up, but there's more slots coming for you and your members, so we'll come back. And it did go well over, Ms. Khalid.